Can everybody see the PowerPoint okay? Looks like everybody could hear me. Just want to make sure everybody could see the PowerPoint okay. If we could see the PowerPoint okay, we will start. At this time, I would ask you guys to all mute your microphones to cut down on the background noise. You can unmute your microphone at any time to participate in the conversation. There's also a chat box that most of you guys are using anyways. You guys could ask questions and I will respond to that. I will also be sharing the comments and questions to the class because your peers will not be able to see the chat box. So they will just be able to hear me speak. So I do encourage everyone to talk a little bit. I would like to hear all your guys' voices. So yeah. So I know we're running a little late, so I'm going to try to get you guys up to speed. So I just want to make sure to value your guys' time for being here. So the agenda for tonight looks like this. We will go over a little bit and talk about how class is going so far, how the expectations for live sessions, scoring rubrics, submitting assignments, exploration assignments, expectations, APA formatting, the whole child concept, state licensing rules, and then you guys will have some time for questions for clarification. For some reason, if I am not able to answer your question because it's related straight from the course, I will get back to you this evening through course messages or via text. So yeah, so that's what's going on for tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Okay, great. I can mute.
Can you see the PowerPoint, guys?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So we're in great shape now. So just want to have some brief introductions. I want to share a little bit about myself and hear a little bit about you guys. I'm originally from a small farm town in North Dakota. I am a graduate from the University of North Dakota. There I obtained my bachelor's degree in history, but later decided I had a passion for ECE. So after graduation, I moved from Grand Forks, North Dakota to where I'm living right now in Denver, Colorado, to pursue a career in early childhood education. I've worked for the public and private sectors as a teacher and a director for the last 10 years, and also have worked in the public schools as a special needs paraeducator. A few years ago, I received my master's degree in early childhood education in an online classroom similar to this one that we are, similar to the one that you guys are in right now. I'm currently an education supervisor for a Head Start program in Denver Metro. I have a strong passion for working with children with families who are underprivileged. One day I hope to go back to school to pursue my doctoral degree in early childhood education, probably once my daughter gets to be a little bit older and becomes a little bit more dependent for herself. My favorite toy as a child was my Buddy doll because I wanted blonde hair and he had blonde hair, and all my friends back home all had blonde hair except for me, so I kind of felt like the odd one out. So that's kind of a silly reason, but that's a little bit about me. And now I'm going to open up conversation, invite each of you to introduce yourselves. Please share your name, where you live, the type of degree you're pursuing, and what your favorite toy was as a child.
Hi, my name is Naomi Hicks. I'm originally from Grenada, a small island in the Caribbean. Beautiful white sandy beaches, lots of mountainous views. I came to America approximately 22 years ago. Started started school at Roxbury Community College in Boston, Massachusetts, playing basketball. I had a scholarship, got injured. So now I'm trying to go back to school to finish my degree in early childhood education. Um, I have two kids of my own. They're 10 and 5. So it's a little challenging for me to be going to school and having two young ones, but I'm trying my best. My husband and I are working great together to make sure that I can be successful doing this. I'm a teacher right now at KU, which is Kinder Care, at 90 Park, New York, New York. I've been there for the last 6 years, but I've worked with kids or infants for almost 18 years. So just really excited and a little bit nervous in doing all of these courses at my age, but winning and excited about the challenge, trying to learn more and be able to bring it back into my classroom.
Well, thank you for sharing, Naomi. Welcome to class. I'm sure that you will have a lot of valuable input with all the experience that you have.
Thank you.
Marie and Shanda, do you want to participate? So Marie said she lives in Indiana. She's going for her associate's degree in early childhood education. Her favorite toy was the outdoors. She spent more time in a tree or outside than inside. Very nice. Welcome to class, Marie. What's the weather like in Indiana, Marie? Nice today, but it's very up and down lately. Yeah, it seems like the eastern part of the country has been getting some snow and a lot of rain lately. Yeah, it's kind of like Colorado. One day it could be 75, 80 degrees, and then the next day it will snow. But it usually melts all right away, which is pretty nice. I'm ready for spring and summer to come. Well, thank you for sharing, Marie, and welcome to class. Hi, Shanda. Shanda is from Long Island, but has been in Georgia for the last 10 years. Thank you, Shanda. What type of degree or what are you trying to pursue? And what was your favorite toy as a child? Did you have a favorite toy? So Shanda currently works for KinderCare with the 3-year-old classroom, and she is looking to obtain her bachelor's degree. Well, thank you, Shanda, and welcome to class. And welcome to class, everyone. I'm sorry, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. That is actually the first time that has happened to me. So, yeah, I'm glad we're here. I'm glad you're here. And we will continue. So welcome everybody. Just wanted to check in with you guys. So how is class going so far? Are you guys able to navigate through the course modules, discussions, general course questions, course messages, weekly announcements, syllabus, calendar, resource tabs? My suggestion is to practice and play around with the Blackboard if you are not familiar with it. Sometimes our best teacher is ourselves. A lot of times, if you just explore, you will find new things. And if you are having trouble trying to navigate something, please let me know so I could help you guys. So how's it going? I know taking an online class, you pretty much have to be a self-starter, so it does getting taken used to, but you know, with practice it gets better, like Shanda has said, and you know, you just got to play around with it, and if you don't know something, ask. So I mean, that's the biggest thing I could say for this. Another thing I would like to tell you guys is the first week of this class and the last week of this class is very, 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 there's not much coursework to do, but between the coursework between module 2, 3, 4, and 5, there is a lot. So I just encourage you guys to stay on top of it and ask questions along the way. No question is dumb or stupid, but just make sure that you ask them, or else you're not going to get clarification. And I want you guys all to succeed in this class. So just do your best and ask questions. So moving forward, we will be having 3 live sessions. So obviously one tonight. There is one on the 25th of April and on May 2nd. So it's in sessions that are 2, 4, and 5. It is some of the live classroom expectations is that you're expected to make an effort to attend each live session and participate. I appreciate you taking the time tonight to be a part of tonight's live session. If you ever cannot make a live session, you'll need to view the video in the live session discussion forum and respond to all the questions I asked during the live session in order to earn full points. If you're present at our live session, you're expected to contribute to the class conversation in order to receive full credit. And then, like I said, our next live session will be Wednesday, April 25th at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Does anybody have any questions? All right, so not hearing or seeing. Oh, we have a question. Shanda asks, is there an example of how to use this live classroom? Not yet, but I've already asked a lot. Can you give me more clarification of what you mean, Shanda? Oh, okay. So Shanda, you can't figure out the audio on your end. So it looks like you're not connected to the audio. So on your end, you're gonna have to click, and it looks different, I believe, on everybody else's, but to connect to the audio. And once you connect to the audio, you'll see a little microphone to the right, where to the right where it says participants, and then you can see who's online. So I think all you need to do is connect to your audio. So I'm going to move on to our next slide. So it's the scoring rubrics for all the assignments. So all assignments are graded based on a rubric. I just want to make sure that you guys all know how to access the rubrics so you can make sure you meet all the criteria before submitting an assignment. To view the rubric for each assignment, click on the assignment title under the assignment tab in each module. Towards the upper left side, you will see a box with the total points possible listed. In that box under the total points, there will be a button that says View Rubric. By clicking on that button, a new window will open with the scoring rubric. Please use these rubrics to your advantage to ensure you receive the most points possible for the assignment. Please note, this is very important, that there is no rubric attached for the discussions. However, if you create a substantial post that answers the prompt questions and you respond to any questions that I ask you and respond to at least 2 of your peers with concise paragraphs to extend their learning, then you will receive full credit. Does anybody have any questions with the scoring rubrics? All right. So it looks like no one has any questions with the scoring rubrics. And once again, I just reiterate, if you have questions, please ask course messages via email, text messages, whatever works best for you. I usually respond the quickest with text messages. Sometimes not as much on the weekends because I do have a family and I am with them a lot during the weekend, but I usually get back to you if it's not within an hour, a couple hours, usually through text message. Course messages, probably I check it a couple times a day, so I try to get back to you either right away in the morning or after I come home from my work. So if you have questions, please ask. So I'm going to move on to submitting assignments. I just want to take a moment to review assignment submission. In order to submit an assignment, click on the assignment title under the assignment tab in each module. Scroll down towards the bottom and select the file from your computer that you would like to submit and select Open. Be sure to click the Submit button once you have uploaded your assignment. Please note, and this is also important, that a 10% of the total points possible will be deducted for each day that an assignment is late. Please see the course calendar for all due dates. One advantage to submitting assignments early, and I know a few of you guys have already, is that if you submit an assignment before the due date and get a low grade on it, I show you guys a lot of grace. I will let you know via course messages, and you'll have the option to redo the assignment to receive a better grade, but it needs to be on the due date. Does that make sense? Perfect. So I'm going to keep moving along. There's a lot of information to cover in the first live session. So the exploration assignments and key area focus. So basically, in Module 2 through 6, you will submit an exploration assignment. This assignment is due by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sundays. In this assignment, you will view several videos and answer 3 open-ended questions about the videos. Please take time to thoroughly read the instructions and review the rubric, as you will have the same format exploration assignments each week with different videos to watch. So, with that being said, the biggest error that I see students make on these assignments is not providing an aha moment in question 3. In this question, I'm not looking for your favorite part of the video or what you liked. I want you to share a new perspective or an insight you gained from the video. Your answer to each question should be at least a paragraph long with a specific reference to the videos. This is an opportunity to practice your observation skills as well as apply the book knowledge you are learning in the course into the everyday classroom experience. Each week will have a different key area of focus that you see on the screen. That will be presented in the videos and that you will reflect upon. This week, for example, you'll be looking at developmentally appropriate practices. Does that make sense? Great. So, moving on to the APA guide for School of Education. To ensure consistency and precision for students and instructions, Rasmussen has chosen the APA style as the standard documentation and the citation style to be used in all courses. The APA style provides for clear references in the text and at the end of the document. By using APA as the common style in our classes and assignments, Rasmussen seeks to streamline the documentation component of the important information literacy process. If you are unfamiliar with APA guidelines, you can check out the Rasmussen APA guide in Blackboard. From the homepage, click on the far right tab on the top of your screen that says Resources. In the center column, you will see Library Resources. And the fourth link down says APA Guide. Click on the link and it will open the Rasmussen APA reference center that will have all the information you need on APA formatting. You can use the menu on the left side of the screen to jump to the specific APA formatting information that you need. So you guys could play around with the APA formatting through your resource tab whenever you guys get a chance to do so. Does that all make sense? All right, so I'm going to keep moving on, and we're going to jump into a little bit of content for this week. Want to follow up from the whole child animation lecture. So there was an activity in your lesson content folder for Module 2 where you can all see how all developmental domains function together. If you've not done so already, read about the whole child on the first slide and then click the arrow button on the right side of the slideshow to go to the next slide. Early childhood educators and advocates must view the children from a holistic perspective. You know, we're learning about the whole child. The concept of the whole child is extremely important in early childhood education. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to do this, but did anybody have any takeaways from the animation activity? And it's okay if you guys didn't quite do it yet. I would hope that you guys would take a look at that if you have not. So my question is, did anyone have any takeaways from the childhood animation activity? Please share what you have learned, what your strongest domains are, ones you find most challenging, and how does the concept of a whole child fit with your knowledge of ECE, and how do you support each child's growth and development? So there are several domains that every individual needs to learn and grow. Typically, children and adults alike have one or two domains that they excel naturally at. At each age and stage, children develop a new skill set in each domain. As educators, it's really important for us that we include all the domains in our teaching practices in order to help the whole child develop. Although educators normally tend to focus on the cognitive, intellectual development, every other area, such as physical and social emotional development, is equally important, especially when working with young children, because each skill goes hand in hand, kind of like what Marie just got done saying. She said that they kind of overlap with each other. So thank you for sharing, Marie. Shanda says she tries to support each child's growth and development by looking at each child as an individual, and that's exactly what you need to do. You know, for me, I guess I'm a strong advocate for social emotional development, because as a lot of the questions that I ask kind of falls from that. I feel like kids need to have a really secure relationship with their environment and with the kids in their classroom. And I think the only person to make that happen is with us educators trying to create that bond with them. Hence, that's why a lot of your guys' discussion questions, I would ask the follow-up question of something with social or emotional development, because if they're not socially and emotionally secure, all other learning, I feel, will not take place, and it would just hinder their learning. So having said that, Shanda said some students may be stronger in other areas. Yes. Her biggest challenge has been with children in the class who are nonverbal. You know, I think some of the ways that we could, I mean, there's a lot of ways that we could use with nonverbal, but one of them is to have picture signs, pictures, daily schedule with their pictures of what's happening before, next, and after, just so that they get a rhythm of how and what the classroom structure is like. I'm gonna kind of give them a good idea. I know most of us adults like to know what we're doing from 1 hour to the next. Just having that visual schedule will help those nonverbal children learn and grow. Now, with that being said, what are your guys' strongest domains? What do you find most challenging? I mean, for myself, I have a hard time trying to express myself. I'm kind of an introvert, so talking in front of people is not my greatest strength. However, I'm very, very social, emotionally strong as far as just making sure that I understand how people operate and I am sensitive to their needs. So that's kind of my strongest domain, is being sensitive to people's needs and just being socially aware. However, on the downfall, I'm also an introvert a little bit too as well. Marie says, the physical domain, I'm bad at sports and very clumsy. I feel like that's kind of a strong domain for me. I used to play college baseball, and I still play softball, and I run a little bit, but sports have been pretty average for me. What's your strongest one, Marie? So Shanda said emotional. She tends to keep things bottled in. I understand that. Effective domain, I believe. I'm very social into how people may be feeling on certain days. Well, thank you for sharing, Shanda and Marie. Yeah, it's a very, very, I know it's really difficult to share a little bit about what your strongest and what your weakest domains are. But, you know, part of life, and I feel like that it just gets to know us a little bit better, just on a different level. Anybody else have any? Naomi, do you have anything to add? You know what your strongest domain is, or what do you think it is? What do you find most challenging?
Sorry, trying to type, but my computer is not acting well, so I'm just going to speak.
Oh, yeah, I would love that if you guys speak. It makes it a little bit easier for me as well. You could push the unmute to speak so everybody can hear you.
Oh, okay. Can everyone hear? Okay. Yeah, my strongest domain is multitasking in the classroom because I work with infants. So I have to be able to run around really quickly because we're a 4-to-1 ratio. So multitasking is my strongest domain, which is my weakest is social, I think, because I tend to not be able to, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but when teachers come into my classroom, I tend to be really strong about things, like socially, like speak to the kids, I don't really know how to explain it, but like I just kind of take control too much of the things that's going on in the classroom. I'm not an easy person to work with, I think. That's what I always say that. I just don't think I'm the easiest person to work with because I see things that need to be done and just not being done kind of gets me on the wrong track.
So you kind of have that A personality of just everything needs to be in order. That's kind of funny because that's kind of how my wife is. If she sees a mess or something, she takes care of. We have an in-home daycare, and if she sees something, she is so quick to be on it, and it stresses her out big time.
Me too. So I guess you get me.
Yes, I understand.
Great.
I live with it.
My husband too. Okay, great.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Shonda says that it would be physical because the kids keep her in shape. I had to chuckle about that. That's funny. So yeah, I mean, there's different. We all have different strongest domains and weakest domains, and it kind of fits in the concept of the whole child with what we know with early childhood education. So the last question says, how do you support each child's growth and development? Like I was saying, as an ECE instructor, teacher, and I'm a director, just building those positive relationships with students and families, I believe is a priority. Like I said earlier, if children and families are not emotionally secure in their learning environment, it can be difficult for them to engage and explore in activities that will help each developmental domain. Sometimes it's difficult to build positive relationships with families, but understanding their culture and having a home visit and just explaining their goals and your goals about the child will help better understand what they're expecting from you. The one thing that I have observed at my centers is, in my experience, is that parents want their children to learn to write their names and numbers before they go off to kindergarten. And I understand that it's important for most parents to have their children write their names, but children need the basic fundamentals of practicing their fine motor skills with doing other activities that strengthens their finger and hand muscle motor skills. So a good indication if a child is ready to write, he or she should be able to hold the pencil correctly. That really demonstrates evidence that the child is ready to write. But in preschool, they should have different opportunities to work on with various manipulatives, building Legos and just different things with their fingers to develop those muscles. So by the time they do get into school, that they can do that and write effectively. Um, so yeah, Shanda said through play, trust, care, and safety. Yeah, safety is definitely the most thing. If children aren't emotionally safe, physically safe, um, they can't really learn well. Does anybody have any other thoughts on that? So Naomi agrees with Shanda about through play, trust, care, and safety. Yes, that is very important. Marie does not have any questions. So if you are watching online, you will have to answer these 4 questions. The ladies that are participating right now, you guys don't need to answer any of these questions. So thank you for participating. I am going on to the next slide. And it talks about examples of state licensing critical to child safety. So state licensing rules are obviously pretty critical to child safety. You probably all have a licensing visit once a year just to ensure that there are safety practices in your programs, to make sure that you guys are abiding by state and federal and local probably laws. I just want to share. Want you guys all to share your licensing regulation in your state that stood out to you. You were asked to share something tonight about what you found most critical to child safety. For me, I'll share one that I think is pretty significant. In Colorado, one regulation that stands out to me is the ratios here for infants. I personally think that the ratios for infants are way too high, and you can't really have quality care or individualized care if you're taking care of a lot of infants. The infant ratio here in Colorado is 1 teacher to 5 infants. I know earlier, I can't remember who actually talked about and I think it might have been Naomi who talked about the 1 infant to, no, 1 infant to, or 1 teacher to 4 infants and trying to multitask. It's really, really difficult to do. And I can't imagine with that having 1 teacher to 5 infants, trying to give that quality care. So for me, that's one of the things that stands out, is that high infant ratio. Now I'm going to open it up for discussion for you guys to share a little bit what stands out in your state. Shanda says most of the rule and regulations in the state of Georgia are critical to the running of the center, but what I found most important is indoor child care environment. This is important because most of the time their time is spent in the classroom. Marie says, I ate the ration for 3 teachers to 15 2-year-olds. It is way too many to take potty and to feed and put coats on. For ratio, the ratio is 1 to 15, and that is for 3-year-olds. I feel like that is very, 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 very high for 3-year-olds. The state of Colorado here, we have a 1 to 10 infant, or 1 to 10 ratio for 3 and 4-year-olds. Our program, for federal guidelines, we run so we have a preschool. So my preschool program has 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in there, and we actually have a 1 to 8 ratio, because we obviously try to strive for the best quality care for these children to become school ready by the time they do get into kindergarten.
It was me that said no, 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 but it was also me. That was just my reaction to the fact that it's 5 to 1 teacher in your state, with the infants. I work with infants, yes, and it's 1 to 4. 1 to 5, that's like a little much. That is really crazy.
I kind of feel like corporations and stuff are just out to get money, and for me, I feel like, and that's kind of why I moved away from a corporation, is because I felt like they were more, and this is just my opinion, they're more focused on the money aspect.
Enrollment.
Yep, and enrollment and trying to get kids in, instead of actually the quality of care of what is needed to produce the children's development, which I feel like is necessary, but I feel like a lot of corporations don't understand that. They just care about the money.
Yes, this is 100% true. I feel the same way, and I just had that same conversation with my director at my center. I remember opening up my center 6 years ago with only 3 teachers, and the materials and the things that, the trainings and different things that we received then, none of the new teachers that's coming in now is receiving it because of cost, and they don't want to pay overtime to train these teachers properly to be able to do their work appropriately. And it's just all about the money now, and it's really sad, but it's so true.
And it's interesting because a lot of times when the cost of children gets higher, and a lot of times teachers, especially in early childhood education, they don't receive raises, and
No.
the lowest paid teachers in the country, which I feel like, and I'm a strong advocate of giving my teachers a decent amount of raise, because I understand the job that they do is a lot harder than the job that I have to do.
And the expectation is really high
Yeah.
from parents and from your bosses. So in order, it's just really hard to work in that kind of environment that, you just feel like what you're doing in your classroom, whether or not you're helping these children learn and grow the best way you could, but if you're not receiving, the incentives or help or even materials and stuff, it's really hard to kind of put your best work out in your classrooms.
Yeah, and who suffers? It's the children.
Yes.
And it's quite sad to see that too in our society, but it's true, and it's not just in Colorado, it's across the country. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, granted, I work for a Head Start, so I can't say that, and I work through the county, and we get all our funding through grants, so
Oh no.
it's a little bit differently.
Mhm.
But I worked in a corporation, and I remember my center director. We need to enroll and make sure that your class is full, so we don't have to cut your hours. I'm just like,
Yep.
really? That's
Same
what you
here.
care about?
And each child pays 3,200 at my center per month. Um, yes, per month. So our center is basically kids that are really like high society kids. I work in the middle of Manhattan, which is at 30, like right at Grand Central, station. So it's a really, you know, I wouldn't say the word bougie, but it's it's an upscale area, and we have upscale students. And for us to be receiving what we're receiving, it's really hard, you know, to accept because the expectations are so much higher in our area. Like a lot of the kindergarten teachers that come to us say, oh my gosh, we don't have to even do all of those things. We work with tadpoles, meaning that we send out information every day, social and emotional development, whether it's physical, whether it's language, whether either we have to choose a few domains every day, work on those domains with the kids, and send out information to the parents with pictures and activities every single day. It's not just about being in the classroom with the kids anymore. It's a whole lot more, but it's a lot.
It's about the parents receiving what they're paying for.
Right.
And, the more, maybe the more money you have, the more demanding somebody is. I don't know.
Maybe it's I think so. I will agree with you on the more money you have, it's the higher demand of expectations and activities and things that the children does, and we have like different things that we do in our center that most centers don't do. Tadpoles, for instance, most centers don't use tadpoles, but we do. Most kinder care centers. Um, our activity boards and different things are labeled differently than this. Other centers could just put up their activities, but we have to put it up with like pictures and little things, and the write-ups have to be like on point with everything. It's different.
Can you explain, Naomi, what a tadpole is?
Tadpole, what Tadpole is, it's an app that we use called Tadpole, and they hand out iPads to us, and we log into that app, and each parent log into that app, and every day, instead of uh instead of a w- at the end of the day report card. I can't remember exactly the word for it right now, but instead of sending home a daily sheet, that's what it is. You input all of the information: diapers, nap, sleep checks, um, pictures, activities, food, everything onto that app. And at the end of the day, we sent out that daily report to the parents, and they can see and view everything that the kids did for the day.
Thank you for explaining. I actually knew what I know what a tadpole is, but I just wanted to make sure that your classmates know, because different parts of the country might not have that kind of technology.
Right.
So yeah. Well, thank you for actually sharing that. That was great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's kind of like Shonda said, she does miss the personal side of working with children from the private perspective. Um, but yeah, it's interesting how different state regulations have different licensing standards and different ratio standards. And I just feel like that lawmakers and corporations and all sorts of centers should be invested in the children and the teachers and doing what's best for children, especially with developmentally appropriate practices. Developmentally appropriate practices is giving that quality care to the child and getting to know the child on an individual level. You have, say, 30 kids or 25 kids in your classroom and you only have 2 teachers. It's not very effective, is it? So thank you, ladies, for sharing your thoughts and your inputs on the examples of state licensing critical to child safety. Once again, if you are viewing online, that is something that you will have to write about, more than a sentence or two, but a paragraph pretty much to every question that is addressed to this live session. So, with that being said, do you guys have any questions or information presented about the session that we had tonight? I do apologize for it running a little later, just because of the technical difficulties that we had. So Marie, Naomi, and Shonda, thank you for participating. I will make sure that you get full points for participating in this live session. If you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available. I will answer on Sundays. I will write you back, especially when I know that there is deadlines due, especially on Sunday nights. I'm usually pretty quick at grading things. If you end up submitting something really early for, say, week number 3 for this week, I may not grade it right away until the beginning of week number 3. So make sure to, and if you have a chance to, submit your assignments early for, say, for week 2, and I grade it and you don't like your grade, go ahead and submit it back with corrections, and I will give you a new grade. Shonda has a question. She says, when posting to a classmate, is it for the discussion question or in general? For posting to a classmate so you have to post to 2 of your classmates to receive full credit for each discussion for each week, for week 2, 3, 4, and 5. Week 6, you don't have discussions, I think. But like the general course questions, so if you have a question for me, you could reach out to me on your general course questions. Hopefully I'm understanding this right. My screen went blank, sorry guys. So Shonda asked, when posting to a classmate, is it for the discussion question or in general on the same day or throughout the week? So you only have to reply to 2 people for your discussion, and then that is all you have to do unless somebody asks you a question. It's a respectful thing to reply to them with a substantial answer. Hopefully I'm answering that right, Shonda. If not, personal message me, and I can talk you through what your question is and come up with an answer for you. Does that sound good? All right, ladies. Well, thank you for joining us on our first live session. I will see you guys back on April 25th at 6:30. And I hope to, oh, do we have another question? Naomi, do you have a question? Sorry. No? All right. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I will see you guys, or I will talk with you guys on April 25th at 6:30 Central Standard Time. But if you have any additional questions or if you need clarification on something, just reach out to me and I will write you guys back. Have a good night, ladies.